Los Jedi justifican su dominancia galáctica en nombre de la paz. Pero esa paz es una mentira.
Hi, Leslye. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I'm Gustavo Arizmendi from SuperGeek Chile, and welcome to the Star Wars lore.
It's good to be here.
It's good to be. So, how did you manage to bring your own voice to the massive Star Wars universe?
I was very lucky in terms of Lucasfilm nourishing and supporting an original idea. I was very grateful that I was allowed to explore something that wasn't about legacy characters, that wasn't in a particular time period that had already been established, going back in time and being able to tell a story that could live in my own voice and yet feel definitively Star Wars was something that I think, with the proper support, which I had, was something that I could achieve.
How much freedom? I'm hearing like they give you absolute freedom.
I had a lot of artistic freedom. I mean, Obviously you're working in a universe that a genius created. You're working in George's universe. So it's not when you're working in that, when you're privileged enough to work in that space and to play with the characters and the themes that he created. Moving to the time period that we're in, there was a lot of freedom because we're not stepping on any canon by being further back in time. At the same time, though, the support came when a lot of the elements of the show still fit with what Star Wars is. So there was a balance of, this is in my own voice, this is an original story, it's about family dynamics that I have experienced, but it takes place in a universe created by someone else. Like I said, I don't know how else to, a genius.
Están cazando Jedis.
Ella fue mi estudiante. Yo la entrené. Déjame ser yo quien vaya a capturarla.
How did it feel to bring the Jedi out in the street? Since they were basically monks before.
I mean, one of the things that occurred to me early on was, at this particular time period, they wouldn't necessarily be pulling their lightsabers out all the time. They're not fighting battle droids. As far as they know, the Sith don't exist. So they wouldn't necessarily need to pull their lightsabers. So I got very excited about doing a show where the Jedi rely on hand-to-hand combat. They rely on their proficiency with the Force in order to neutralize threats.
Mm-hmm. And this is evident in the clothing. Especially when realize the clothing determines the mission.
That's right. My costume designer, Jennifer Bryan, and I talked a lot about involving what we called temple robes that are very much based on the High Republic novels and the beautiful artwork that came along with the covers of those books. And we saw them as these pure white and gold robes, and almost like a religious cloak, that they would never be in any skirmishes. They would never be any skirmishes. There would never be any real fights because they are so at the height of their power. But we did want to make sure that we had the classic brown robes. It felt important to include that. Therefore, it felt to us an exciting idea that those brown robes would become their mission robes. They would become the robes that they wore when they were out and about, preparing themselves for, maybe not a threat, but definitely being more out in the world, pedestrian, having interactions with people. Definitely, there's some exploration, as you saw in episode 3. There's some exploration into the galaxy, into the outer rim. So they wouldn't be wearing, perfect white robes to do that.
Thanks, Leslye. Here from Chile, let's hope to have fun in the Acolyte. June 4, we're waiting.
Thank you so much.
time.
It was so nice to talk to you.
Bye-bye.